You went into politics, and knowing what you knew at the time, going for the job, you must have said, okay, even though things are very, very bad, I think I know what I can do to help out here.
Yeah, you went in with like, I hope I can help sort this out.
Even though you knew what was after happening.
Yeah, I went in like a lamb to the slaughter, really, because I went in quite idealistically.
Yeah.
Look at this. But I mean, look, you got huge support, 53% of the vote. I mean, that is unheard of.
It was unheard of, I suppose, at the time, but and it was because I think the people recognised what I recognised, that this was a huge economic setback, a huge economic crisis. We needed to do what we could. I probably was somebody who was known to them from TV and fresher than some of the political.
Yeah, but you also broke a lot of stories.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Broke a lot of stories, gave us a lot of information we needed, and you informed us and trust. But you went in there with that trust to help us, and you felt once you got inside the Parliament that it wasn't as easy.
It was very different. Like, I mean, some people might say, was I naive? And politically, I'm sure the people who are experienced with politics would say yes. Yeah. But I think ultimately, I was probably not cut out for it because I was too idealistic.
Were people nice to you when you were in the Dáil?
The Dáil is a place where it's a very, very difficult place to describe. And the way I look at it is, there's a saying which says, the same boiling water that will soften a potato will harden an egg. So it depends really, it's not necessarily where you're put, it's what you're made of.
Okay.
And so when I went into the Dáil, whatever I was made of reacted in a particular fashion to the environment of the Dáil. Other people who are brought up in politics and who know politics would expect it to be the way it is. It's a tough business, it's a hard business, and to me, I'm not sure that big parties are places for people who are idealistic. And for me, all of the time there was the suggestion that I was parachuted in as a celebrity candidate.
A poster boy.
Well, as a celebrity candidate.
Yeah.
I never thought I was a celebrity candidate. I didn't go in there because I was a celebrity candidate. But that's how politicians viewed you. You were an outsider.
You said you felt you were like a lamb to the slaughter. What do you mean about that?
Because I think that my mindset was one whereby I thought it was about taking responsibility. And what I learned the hard way was that politics is about power. And I see the difference being absolutely critical. And the way I see it is, if you have a gun in your hand, you have a very powerful instrument. But the whole issue about you having that power in your hand is not that you have the power. So you could have a throttle on your car and go at 150 kilometers per hour. It's the responsibility with which you hold that gun and how you use it. And I think that politics for me all the time was about the sense of responsibility to do something for those people who are going to be unemployed rather than to stay in power.
But do you
and
not
I think I
think,
found
though,
it was really about power.
It is about power, I suppose, when you really know
it is.
A lot about politics, it is about power.
And that's what's so disappointing.
But do you not think there is a kind of another side, that there are people in the Dáil, there are politicians in the Dáil who are there for the right reasons, in the sense that it's not about power and fighting the cause in the sense that you were, and that's what you were there for, to stand up to that type of thing is very important as well.
Well, it is, and it's like what I said, it depends on where you're coming from and what you made. People are different, and there are politicians who are very happy to play the role that you've just described. In my case, I was at the peak of my career. I was 46 years old when I took the step in, and I sacrificed my career, but I would have felt that it was a total waste of a sacrifice.
You just feel you weren't going to get anywhere. Isn't that the basic
not.
bottom
At the end of the day, I went in.
Were you treated fairly though, George? You didn't even have an office at one stage. You were doing all the work inside in the canteen.
Well, I found that kind of unusual. You know, when I arrived in the Dáil, it was very clear that there was going to be somebody new in the Dáil. It took 3 months before there was an office provided for me, so I would end up in the canteen doing whatever work I could do. I wasn't able to.
That's bizarre.
I find that, but I find it impossible to explain that because they had to know that somebody was coming.
Well, you were the celebrity coming in, of course, that the whole place heard you were coming.
Yeah, so I've to some extent, you could probably say that from the beginning, it wasn't set up to encourage me. Or at least my experience wasn't set up to encourage me.
It almost sounds to me like once they had you,
Well, it's about the seat.
I know, that's what I mean. That's what it is.
That's okay for a party, but from my point of view, it was very personal.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you don't
Are you
pack
glad
in.
you did it though, George, in the sense of looking back now? Now, you came back to, you were lucky in the sense that, you know, you came back and you're here and it's great, you've done great work since, but do you regret running, or do you feel that it is kind of, you did it for the right reasons and you're glad you did it?
I did it for the right reasons, and I think in the long run I'll be glad I did it. And the reason why I say
Still getting
that,
over it.
the reason why I say that is that I'm very conscious that people worry about the things they didn't do in life.
Yeah.
And you get to a certain age and you say, I should have done this. And the things that you always regret, I think, are the things that maybe you didn't do because you imagine what they would have been like and the role you could have played.
It's not Alice in
I don't have
Wonderland,
that
though.
anymore, really. You know, I just know I learned a lot about myself,
Yeah.
actually.
Which is a very positive thing, John.
It is,
Yeah.
and I can tell you this much, that the politicians in the Dáil do work extremely hard. I know people, they say it, but they get such rewards. The rewards are enormous. The salary is what people talk about. That's one element of reward. And the salary, in all honesty, it's not as high as you compared to some senior civil servants as people might imagine. The rewards are the likes of the pension and the likes of the 2 employees that you can appoint if you wished, which could be family members. I mean, there are non-contributory pensions for them. There were when I was there, and I don't believe it's changed. So you can do very, very well out of it. You'll accumulate a pension twice as fast as you will, regardless, in the Dáil. You'll do it in 20 years rather than 40, and if you become a minister, you'll do it 4 times faster. Now, that's extremely lucrative in the long run. And the longer a person like me would stay, the more it's not corrupted by that process, but the more that becomes more difficult to leave. And I also found myself as well taking credit and learning to be a politician, taking credit for stuff I didn't really deserve the credit for. And I didn't feel comfortable about that at all. I mean, the examples were things like getting people medical cards where there are tricks
Well,
and
I'm sure
tricks
there are
of the
people that
trade.
don't get credit for things either
They
that they do on
don't,
the other
yeah.
side as
But
well.
I mean, it is
Well,
like
anyway,
it's-
you did it. It
John,
was an
thank you.
I did
experience,
it.
but you're back with us again, and thankfully so.
We're delighted to see you back in
Thank
the
you
days.
very much, George.
Good morning, George.